You felt it before, that fleeting moment when everything seems perfect, the laughter of friends, the warmth of love, the thrill of success. For a second you think you've grasped it, happiness, and yet, almost instantly, it slips away. The joy fades, replaced by a strange emptiness. You start wondering, why can't I hold on to it? Why does happiness always feel just out of reach? This isn't just your struggle, it's the paradox at the heart of the human condition, and for centuries, philosophers, psychologists, and spiritual traditions have wrestled with this haunting truth, that the more we chase happiness, the more it eludes us. We live with a silent promise in our heads: once I get there, then I'll be happy. Once I earn more money, once I find love, once I achieve my goals. But when we finally arrive, the satisfaction never lasts. Psychologists call this the hedonic treadmill, our tendency to quickly return to a baseline level of happiness no matter what we gain or lose. You run harder, achieve more, accumulate pleasures, but you stay in place, running endlessly. Arthur Schopenhauer, the bleak philosopher of pessimism, saw this pattern clearly. To him, life swung like a pendulum between pain and boredom. When we desire something, we suffer in the wanting. When we finally get it, the excitement fades and we are left in the dull ache of meaninglessness. Either we're chasing or we're empty, never at rest. Buddhism gave the same warning thousands of years earlier. The Buddha taught that life is marked by dukkha, often translated as suffering, but better understood as unsatisfactoriness. The root of this suffering? Tanha, craving, our endless thirst for pleasure, recognition, security. Here's the paradox. The more we pursue happiness as an object, the more we poison it. Because happiness cannot be possessed, it is like trying to trap sunlight in a jar. The very act of clinging destroys it. Modern psychology confirms this ancient truth. Studies show that people who make happiness their explicit goal often end up more anxious and depressed than those who don't. Why? Because when you constantly measure whether you're happy enough, you're already in a state of lack. But why do we keep running on this treadmill? Why can't we stop? Because beneath our craving lies something darker: fear. The fear of meaninglessness, the fear of death, the fear that without these small bursts of joy, life is just an empty march toward the grave. Ernest Becker, in The Denial of Death, argued that much of human striving is an attempt to escape our awareness of mortality. We chase happiness, success, and legacy not because they last, but because they distract us from the abyss. In this sense, happiness isn't just pleasure, it's anesthesia. So if chasing happiness leads to suffering, what's the alternative? Do we just give up and sink into despair? Both Schopenhauer and the Buddha offer radical answers. Schopenhauer suggested that relief comes only when we silence the will, through art, contemplation, or ascetic denial. For him, true peace was found not in more, but in less, in escaping desire altogether. Buddhism takes a similar but more life-affirming turn. It teaches that happiness isn't found in clinging, but in letting go. When you stop grasping at every passing pleasure, when you release the illusion that life owes you happiness, something unexpected happens. A quiet contentment emerges. Not the thrill of desire fulfilled, but the calm of no longer being enslaved to it. This is why Buddhist monks, who own almost nothing, often radiate a serenity that billionaires never touch. Psychology echoes this lesson. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, observed that happiness cannot be pursued. It must ensue. It arises as a byproduct of living with meaning, not as the object of desire itself. Think about it. The moments when you felt most alive weren't when you obsessed over whether you were happy. They were when you forgot yourself, immersed in love, in creating, in serving something larger than you. In other words, happiness is not the goal. It's the shadow cast by a life of meaning. And yet, here is the final paradox. True happiness isn't in constant comfort, but in struggle. Nietzsche, though not usually linked with happiness, saw this clearly. He argued that a life worth living is one that embraces difficulty, challenge, even suffering. Why? Because meaning is forged in the fire of resistance. To grow, to love deeply, to create something lasting, all require pain. And it is through this pain that we stumble upon a deeper form of joy. Not the fragile joy of desire fulfilled, but the resilient joy of becoming. So perhaps the reason happiness slips away is that it was never meant to be held. It was never the treasure at the end of the journey. It is the shimmering mirage that keeps us moving. But along the way, what really matters isn't the mirage itself, but what we become in the pursuit. The paradox of the human condition is this: happiness vanishes the moment we grasp it, but meaning remains. And when we live for meaning, happiness sometimes visits us as an uninvited guest. Fleeting, yes, but beautiful all the same. So maybe the goal isn't to trap happiness in our hands, but to open our hands and let life flow through them.